Up gets nothing effect. Has that one taken away by Troy Hellman. It seems like this could be.
Hello and welcome to the Overwatch League recap, a talk show focusing on the Overwatch League. I am BlazzinBob, and I'm coming to you right after BlizzCon with a voice that's a little sketchy. So if it goes in and out, I apologize. But we wanted to get the episode out as soon as possible, so I'm going to push through it. I'm joined today by iplaigames, aka Andres. What's going on?
What's up, dude? Glad to have you guys back. I am mega jealous that you guys went to BlizzCon without me, but this year it had to be done. But that being said, I can't wait to hear all the news and all the rundown from all that happened. I know that I got my news over here, and I'm super hyped for a lot of them.
Yep, it was exciting, and you were definitely missed. Many people came up and asked where you were. It was a sad ordeal, but we, I took care of your drinks for you and had them for you.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you did.
I might have given one or two to Mel, but that reminds me, joining us also is Mel. What's going on, Mel? How you doing?
I'm great, but I will say I was a little frustrated at the fact that Bobby was so sad that Andres wasn't there for BlizzCon. He's like, my person, and I'm like, but I was your person. What is happening?
It's different. Like the wife obviously is the person, but then you have like the person besides the wife, because the wife doesn't count. Obviously, she's your person.
Wait a minute.
Oh man.
But yeah, I'm just recovering.
Yeah, Mel, if you wouldn't have been there, I would have been lost and not have had any fun at all. But I was just sad that I
don't
wasn't
even know where
there.
I am half the time. Like, let's be real.
Well, I mean, I just know you're probably networking and doing good things wherever you are.
Yes, networking to find somebody with White Claw.
Mushu.
Success.
Mushu has plenty of White Claw.
I know, I found him.
All right, well, let's jump into the episode. We always start the show off by thanking our producer, Shazir. Thank you so much. We appreciate your continuing support. Anybody that wants to help Shazir support the show can check out patreon.com/OurRecap.
We
All
do
right.
have other Patreons that we'd like to thank as well.
Definitely. But if you want to think at the top of the show, you gotta be a producer. So that's just the way it goes.
Made it sound like we only had one person. Jeez.
All right. Well, so let's start the show off with the changes that we heard about coming to the Overwatch League in 2020. There's going to be a few changes, and I really like a lot of them. I especially like one of them that I asked for literally 2 weeks after the season had started. So I'm excited to get to that, but that's not the first one on the list. The first one on the list is the mid-season tournament. So everybody was a little upset because there's no stage playoffs, and they understood that was a problem. So they have announced the mid-season tournament. The two best teams from each conference will go up. Will get in immediately. Then you'll have two wild cards. Now, the two wild cards can be from any conference. They don't have to be one from each. So you could see three teams from one conference in this mid-season playoff. The seeds are based on results through week 10. Now, that's not 10 games, or, it's just however many games each team has played through week 10. And they explained the reason for this is because they're going to need time to get travel figured out for the teams that are in the mid-season playoffs. So they have to do a cutoff a little early so that they can make sure that they have all that set. And then we're still going to get all of our fun, all-star stuffs, but I believe this, they didn't say specifically, but I believe this tournament is going to take over the actual all-star game. I don't know that for sure. Oh,
No.
okay. No. Did you hear
No,
that?
it'll be the like main All-Star game, maybe.
Yeah, the one that came at the end. I figured this would replace it.
Yeah, but they're still gonna have all of the All-Star game modes, and they're still gonna have like the fan vote and stuff, but it's just for the All-Star game. It's not for the mid-season tournament, which I know a lot of people, aka Deathblow, hated.
Well, I
I don't
just
know.
wanted to
The
get your
last
thoughts
one that
on
they
it.
did was actually like pretty cool, like with Bren and like the Bredo Maker.
Well, they're
whatever
still
it
gonna
Oh,
is.
have that.
the Casters Showdown was the highlight of the All Star game. Two
That's
years
what I'm,
running now.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. When that happened, it generated a lot of hype. People were talking about it. It was a really good time both for the players and the community. So my guess is they would try to emulate that again and try to bring it more into like the common ground. Like, hey, this worked out really well. People really engage with this. What if we make it more of a common theme instead of like all super serious games all the time, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
it'll be like fun Mimi games, and then the tournament, which is supposed to be serious. We'll see.
Super serious.
Super serious.
I mean, I guess my questions would be though, like,
If there's money involved,
what's in
then
it for them?
yes, the teams
Right,
will
like,
take it
what are they
seriously.
getting? Because they didn't say anything regarding what the prize pool or anything like that would be. If they're not getting anything, I think we've seen in the past that, scrim bucks don't mean much.
Welcome
Neither
to
do
Meme
All-Star.
City, which is what
Yeah.
the All Star game was last year. It's just a bunch of memeing and tank players playing
with
DPS and everything else. Yeah, I'm hoping they do a cash prize. I'm assuming that they will. I just figure that they don't have that locked down and they're not going to say anything about it. But do you think this is enough to replace the 3-stage playoffs that we had before?
I do. Yeah, I mean, I think the stage playoffs, in my opinion, were good, but with all the travel and everything else, like, and as also, let's be real, the stage playoffs were just Shock versus Vancouver for the most part. So, like, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's true.
They were great games,
Final.
though.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
were.
But I guess my key point here is that with the conferences splitting up so much and maybe not playing each other as frequently, I think that it's crucial that we have some sort of mid-season like combat, right? Where it's like, hey, you're really good, but you're in this division, which really sucks. So are you really good?
Definitely. I definitely think it's needed. I just don't know if it's enough to make up for all the stage finals that we're going to lose, because we had 4 stage finals in season 1 and then 3 stage finals in season 2, the fourth of which being replaced by the play-in tournament, which was a really fun thing to watch. So that replacement was actually better than the stage playoffs, but I just don't know if it will be enough.
Well, I mean, if you're bringing the 2 best teams from each conference and then 2 wild cards, that could maybe. I think the wild card part is reserved to be like who is the hottest team at the moment. It doesn't have to be like best in performance, but let's say the last stage, Washington just killing it and Corey just coming out of the blue, right? That's I think a wild card worthy spot, and then you pit the 2 best teams, and then put boom Washington right in there, and that's maybe a matchup that people wanted to watch and see how it would go, but they never got the chance to, right? Because of the way that the stage would go with the results. So I think it gives them an opportunity to create some artificial games, some artificial
But the wild
rivalries, or
card
the hot capitalize on the thing of the moment.
But the wild cards will be the top 2 teams from any division, right? So you'll have the top team from the
Conference.
Atlantic and you'll have the top team from the Atlantic and the top team from the Pacific. And then you'll have the next 2 top teams. So they could both be from the Atlantic or they could both be from the Pacific, or it could be 1 and 1.
Like
But
the
it's
2 top teams in standings at that point.
right. The 2 top teams other than the conference top teams.
Oh, okay. Well, there's not that much wild about that. This is pretty
Don't you
predictable.
watch football?
Yeah, well, this isn't the
Wild.
I mean, wild cards are just. They
It's
are
not
kind of
division
wild. Yeah, because normally you're getting from each conference, each division. Wild cards are the ones that were the second best in their perspective conferences, and if the top three teams are in one conference, then you're going to see three teams from that conference versus the one team from the other.
Well, in that case, we're getting basically stage playoffs, just in a slightly different format.
Yeah,
Mid-season
and so
playoffs.
you're only getting one of them as opposed to three like last year. And so that's what I'm worried about. But
I don't
some
know.
would
I think
argue
it'll be
that
good.
the stage playoffs weren't a good enough indicator because there wasn't enough time for teams to actually showcase enough, and they didn't play enough different teams. You
Yeah,
know,
just play a few teams, but definitely not all of them.
yeah, like
Stage
I mean,
playoffs were so dependent on your strength of schedule.
yep. I mean, some teams would play in one stage. They'd play the same team twice, and that's just kind of
Well,
this is kind
tell
of
that
weird.
to San Francisco and Vancouver. Like, schedule what? Oh, we're good. Send us anyone.
Yeah, I mean, but their strength of schedule didn't matter because they were better than everybody else.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could say that to all the other teams, right? Well, just get better than everybody else.
Get good, guys.
Okay,
Forehead.
good. Well, time will tell if that is good enough. We'll have to see the production of it next year. But moving on to the next change, which I think is the biggest change and awesome for us as the fans, for the players. No longer will you have to watch your team suffer as they play another map after they have already lost. Matches going forward are best of 3. So if it goes 3-0, match is over, confetti flies, the teams get off of the stage, nobody gets tortured, and they move on to the next game. Like, people made the excuse that they needed that fourth map to deal with the what's it called, the map differential at the end, but I argued no. And finally, this is a change coming in. Every player I talked to is ecstatic about this. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's a great change. That last game was always just a wash. Sometimes the other team would win it, but it was mostly because the team that had won just didn't care anymore. It's like, okay, we won the match. Let's try some other stuff. Even saw San Francisco sometimes just put in like their bench players in those last games to see what would happen, right? Like, hey, let's try it out. There's nothing to lose. And yeah, I don't think it made such a difference in the map differential after all. And it would just drag on games that should not have been dragged on. And for the player's sanity too, like, you're on stage, you're already been humiliated. You have to stay out there for one more game after knowing that you lost. It's just, I don't think it was a good thing. I think there's a good move.
Yeah, I guess my question would be, do they have anything solid in place for the tiebreaker now? If there is a tie, because there's more likely to be a tie now without a map differential. Don't get me wrong, I hated the stupid fourth map, but I think that they have to have something set, which I'm sure they will, but I thought that before, and then they had the like coin flip and like whatnot. So, you know, we'll
Oh,
see.
the infamous coin flip of 2019.
But overall, I mean, I think it's a really good change. I think, to be honest, let's be real here. The reason they changed it is because their games were going way too long and they couldn't stay on schedule. Come on, you're gonna be on TV, guys. Gotta have a solid schedule.
Yeah, I think this will minimize the time that the broadcast takes too. And yeah, they can start sooner for the games that are like super fast.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to actually add to the problem with tiebreakers much. I mean, if a team goes 3-0 on you, I mean, they really kind of deserve to get that win. You know what I mean? Like, if you could win 1 out of 3, then you deserve to keep playing until until one wins. But I mean, yeah, the last
I'm
game was
saying
always treacherous for fans and players alike.
no. I agree. I was saying I don't think map differential will be the tiebreaker anymore.
Oh, you think they're going to completely change the tiebreaker?
No, I think map differential will still do it. I mean, they're just taking away that one extra map that everyone is playing, right? So if you get a 3-0, boom, good. That's great. You don't give any maps to the other team, and that's amazing for your overall, and you get other people to not catch up to you as easy. And Shaz is saying that the schedule usually goes long is for the games that go 3-2 instead of 4-0. And you're right, but I think that making the 4-0s shorter makes room for those games that are actually much more close and much more interesting to watch, right? Those are the games that maybe keep you to your seat, like, oh, I wonder who's gonna win. The 4-0s is like, okay, we know who's winning here.
Right.
Yeah, and they did the first to 3 format during the World Cup, and they actually kept on schedule this year better than any prior year. So that was good. Although I guess the World Cup always did the best of, but yeah,
It's first to 3 in the World Cup.
yeah, but
I don't know if it was last year.
I'm pretty sure it was now that I think about it. But the year before it wasn't. There was like weird stuff going on. Like a tie would give each team 1 point, and it was a little bizarre.
Odd.
But yeah, so that is one of my favorite changes, and yeah,
Just to note though, they will be starting with control every time, and then they're going to rotate the map order so that it's not always like hybrid, escort, assault. Because if you go 3-0, they want to make sure you still get to play all the different maps in your different games.
Makes sense.
which actually brings us into our next change, which is the map pool is being extended. So you're still going to have 3 hybrid, 3 assault, and 3 escort for each stage. But in addition, now you're going to have all 5 control maps available throughout the entirety of each stage. And they will be rotating those, but they will all be part of the pool. And that's because they're basically going to start with what's it called? Control. And then rotate, kind of like randomize hybrid, assault, and S and escort. But then if tiebreakers had happened, or if ties had happened throughout, then there's no point for that. So they'll just basically play control, king of the hill, until someone gets to 3 wins. So it's going to be neat having all of those in the mix at all times. I get to see Lijiang Tower every stage.
And yeah, and honestly, I'm okay with all the control maps being in there because honestly, all of them are fairly good because they're I'm blanking out on the word they're the same on both sides. They're mirrored. So
yeah, players, coaches, and fans alike all pretty much agree that it's the most balanced map type in Overwatch.
Exactly. Because as long as you're going the same composition and the map is mirrored, honestly, the only advantage one team has over the other is the execution of said composition. While on the other maps, both teams are doing much different roles and are trying to achieve much different goals at the end of the day from different positions and different advantages. So those get a lot trickier. But yeah, control is super enjoyable from that perspective of like, okay, this is all about the gameplay and their execution.
You should have seen Surefour's face when he was on the panel, or not Surefour, Custa's face when he was on the panel, and they told him that all 5 control maps would be, and he's like, okay, 12, 15. Oh man. Okay, yeah, we're just gonna have to prepare more.
And Baby Bay was also on the panel, and he goes, "This is great for me because I'm all lame, no brain. I'm just put me in control. Like, let's go."
It's also, and I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's also what makes me excited of the new mode that is coming out to Overwatch. Because the new mode is very similar to Control in the sense that it's a mirrored map, mirror version of itself, and both teams are just trying to fight for control of that back and forth kind of tug of war thing. So again, both teams in the same conditions, same advantages and disadvantages compared to payload and the other modes, which makes me think if maybe that this is a better route and some other modes could spark in the future where it's much more similar to that.
Right. Not
And,
offense and
and
defense, but
eventually,
kind of.
like 2CP maybe gets phased out of the game into the
Uh,
past.
Eddie from your Overwatch asked Jeff that. He didn't seem too excited about that question.
Eddie likes to ask questions that make Jeff cringe.
And don't get me wrong, I enjoy 2CP. I know that he gets a bad rep, but I do enjoy it every once in a while. But I agree that it can be very frustrating sometimes, especially for newer players or players who maybe don't take the time as much to think about the strategy and how to break through these type of things. And I just want to maybe just play the game a little more straightforward, right? Like let me use my hero, let me use advantages, let me use my mechanical skill. Those other modes really require a lot more coordination, a lot more thought into how you're approaching the objective, right? While control is very brawly. As long as you know where your team is and you know what you're doing, you get into the fight and bada bing, bada boom, things are just happening right away.
To
But
be
don't get
fair,
too excited
I'm
about
pretty
push,
sure.
though.
To be fair, though, I'm pretty sure that it's the the vocal crowd to delete 2CP is more of the pro players than the bronze players.
I don't know. I think it's across the board. But don't get too excited quite yet about the push playstyle, because I think we're going to be talking about release date come next BlizzCon. I don't think it's something that's going to be coming out
Oh
this
yeah.
year.
Oh yeah, we're definitely not gonna see it next season in Overwatch League or yeah,
No.
I doubt it.
They
But
said
that being
it'll
said, I am excited for
probably
it.
they said it'll probably still be in production next BlizzCon.
I can imagine that. And, like that's the one thing about this BlizzCon, and I know that I'm kind of like derailing the conversation here a little bit, but it's like a lot of the things that they announce are freaking amazing, but all of them are nowhere near completion,
Not even close.
which
Yeah.
is kind of disheartening a bit because in a sense, it's sort of wishful thinking. Like they're on the right track for a lot of things, but one thing is to say we're gonna do this and to do a like awesome presentation, and then another thing is delivering it one as they promised, two in a timely manner, and three, functioning the right way.
It'll be Blizzard soon. Don't worry.
Yeah, and Blizzard has a good track record of being able to release, but it man, the timeliness is I think what hurts them a little bit because they can get you very hyped for their things. Man, those cinematics, they
Oh,
they made me so excited. That Diablo cinematic, like best horror story of 2019 for sure. Like Hollywood should be hiring Blizzard to make horror movies because that was amazing. But then my hype kind of shatters a little bit when I think of that reality. Like, I'm not gonna see that for maybe a year, maybe two.
Well, if you were there, you would have got
Diablo
to
might
play
be.
it.
Yeah, Diablo might be closer, but I think Overwatch though, Blizzard, one thing they do, in my opinion, is they don't announce something until they know, right? And so the fact that they announced it and they announced it so big at BlizzCon, it's there, it's going, it's coming. But even
Oh
Jeff
yeah, it's
said
coming.
they don't even have all of the plans set out for what it's going to be.
What worries me a little bit is when
That's what
asking.
worries me right there. That is an idea still.
I think it worries you because you didn't get to hug Jeff like I did.
That doesn't worry me. That just makes me jealous.
True. But he put all my worries at ease.
What worries me the most is the fact that the devs said that that we are they are for sure going to release one more character at least before Overwatch 2 comes out. So that has me scared about new characters in Overwatch 1 but it maybe might mean it's coming a little earlier than we're anticipating. I don't know. I thought that was really bizarre that there would only be one more character before Overwatch 2.
I think they said at least. I think they don't
They said
know.
at
is
least, yeah.
basically what they're getting at. They don't know when it's going to be ready. And if we know anything, they try to get everything perfect. Try being the keyword there. But I think what worries people, and I think what Bob's alluding at, is that they're going to forget about Overwatch 1 while they're concentrating on perfecting Overwatch 2. But at the same time, like, not having a new character released, I don't think is the end of the world. I think that maybe it'll be really good. And maybe they're like, you know what, Overwatch League, enjoy season 3 with adding new characters because you got to travel a lot. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
No,
maybe
no,
so.
yeah, I think it'll bring some stability to the game. Like not adding new heroes, not adding new maps for a while will kind of stabilize that. I do think a content drought will come, and I think that is more worrisome in the sense that I think Overwatch in general as a game, not Overwatch League, but Overwatch as a game right now, it's not among the most popular ones. And I think that a lot of games are fighting for the attention of gamers in general, right? Overwatch League, it's its own beast, and I think that has its own following. And people are really into that for other reasons. But the game itself, playing the game, I think has kind of come to like a very stale point. It's plateaued in the players that it's dragging in. And it really needs something like Overwatch 2 to sort of like refresh it and bring a lot of players back and even bring a player base that they lost a long time ago. Players that really were into Overwatch, but were just not into competitive. Um, Kind of stopped playing the game a while ago, right? Because there's no lore, there's no story mode. The events got kind of old pretty fast because they keep recycling the same ones. It's not, and they're not like so fun that you're gonna come out of the bushes like, oh, the
right,
event's out. I'm gonna drop all my other games and play this. Not at all. But Overwatch 2 does bring that to a lot of those players. A place for them to kind of like explore the story, play cooperatively with other people. And if their hero missions are good enough, I think that the replayability of it will be great. And that's a mode that people can just play Overwatch. Like that's what they play, right? It
right.
doesn't have to be PvP. So I think that the game could really use it right now. Overwatch League, I think, will be fine and coming next season. I think that a lot of people will still want to watch it. And balance changes might still come to the game in the form of PTRs, but I think that the sooner rather than later is better.
Yeah. I also think, too, though, like right now, people are almost depending on a new hero to come out to change the meta, right? There's not a lot of like creativity happening on evolving the meta because they know there's going to be a new hero coming fairly soon that's going to change the meta probably, right? So like why spend a ton of time evolving the meta, which takes a lot of effort and a lot of work, to a month later have a new hero come out and destroy all the work you've done, you know?
It's true, but that being said, the stability that it brings not releasing a new hero might actually eventually change the meta naturally because
That's what
how
I'm
you said
saying. I
it.
think it will.
Oh, that's what you're saying?
I think people will put more time into changing the meta themselves
Because there's
because
no end
there's
in
not,
sight.
yeah, because there's
Yes.
not something that's going to come in and like destroy it.
I agree.
So they'll feel
They're
like
not
they might
relying
not
on
wasting their
Blizzard to
time.
change the meta, which I think
Right,
a lot of times that's kind of like how it's assumed. Like, oh, the meta is like way too much this. Blizzard, do something about it.
right,
But if Blizzard says like, hey guys, we are gonna do something about it, but this is not coming until way later. Like this is what you're stuck with for the time being. Players might take it in their hands and be like, wow, I'm just started playing this, I'm just gonna play something of meta just because. And so the experimentation begins. And eventually, because you've been playing the meta so much, you kind of know the weaknesses and you know it inside out because it's just been stuck into your face for so long.
right.
And you start seeing the cracks, too. You start saying, like, maybe I can do this, maybe I can do that. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do see some slight changes in meta, even if the game remains exactly the same from here until Overwatch 2.
I mean, Jeff even said he was like, I mean, look, goats was a viable option the moment Brig came out. and it didn't become popular until, way after that. And we've started to see things like the meta evolve with different things before any balance changes or before anything crazy comes out. But I feel like there's such frequent balance changes and such frequent new heroes that the effort's just lost. Like,
Yeah,
why put
people
it in?
don't put the effort in.
It's true. And here's the thing: the changes will be slow. They won't be abrupt,
Yeah.
and sometimes they won't even be noticeable at first sight. If it's a very slow progression when you just let the meta evolve naturally. But if you look even at games that have been around for, I don't know, almost 20 years. Look at Warcraft 3, a game that came out in 2002 and then got an expansion in 2003. And for the most part, has been left untouched after that. Um,
You like
and
you like you want to go even crazier. Look at the original Super Smash Brothers. The
that
meta
too.
from when that first had a pro scene to now, characters that weren't even talked about are like S tier characters because they figured out different things that they could do. So yeah, that definitely is something that could be an option coming this next year. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm not gonna lie.
But that's the thing. We might only see the change of meta by the end of the year, right when Overwatch 2 comes out. And then you get the same old, like, there's 5 heroes and 10 new maps. Meta's thrown out the window, guys. Do whatever you want.
If Chengdu has anything to say about it, there's going to be some weird meta changes throughout because they're going to refuse to play what is the meta.
True.
Yep. So, in news, Fissure has hinted about possibly returning. I don't know, I don't even know how I feel about this. I mean, honestly, I was just like okay with him going by because he just seems like he causes so many problems on so many teams. And yeah, he's good, but like, I like people that smile, and I've never seen him smile. So that's
Yeah,
it might be bad reasoning, but I don't want him. What do you
here's
guys
the
think?
thing. Main tanks, especially amazing main tanks, are scarce. Even in Overwatch League, even with all the benefits the Overwatch League can give you, they're just hard to find. I think that you see that happening in ladder when you go queue up. If you want to choose tank, oh, you're getting right in, sir. Welcome to the match. Any matchup you want to in 30 seconds. Less than that, you'll be welcomed in. Pick any other role. You're gonna have to wait in line, sir. Get in line.
Yeah, and then that
Um,
team that brings him in a month and a half, 2 months later is going to be like, man, we shouldn't have brought him in. I
Yeah, but
just
he's already got his paycheck, right? I'm guessing somebody, and what it sounds like is somebody's offering him something that he's going to have a very hard time turning down, right? Like they're offering him the world. And whether that's true or not, I mean, this is Fisher talking on a stream. So, and he still said he's 50-50 on it. Why go crazy? But I think from the comments he's made, I'm not sure if Fisher has changed much. And we'll see if history repeats itself here again.
Now, you could get him to work in a team where maybe the people working with him can deal with that personality.
Yeah.
Because that's maybe what's happened before. He's been in teams where that personality does not mix. But just because he has an abrasive personality, and we're just speculating because he could not, right?
So you're saying someone
Uh,
who can give him an ass whooping real quick because that's what he's in need of. Sorry,
or somebody who's just like very mild
like
tempered. And
metaphorically ass whooping. Sorry, not like actually
I,
physically beat him up.
I
That would be
no,
illegal.
I think the opposite. Because if you have somebody who clashes and like puts him down, I don't think you would have the Fisher that you want to have. You have
Right.
to let him. Maybe you have to let him be a little bit of the asshole. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe he just needs to learn. Like, there's plenty of assholes that like people respect, and they're just not personable, you know. But like he just seems, I don't know. I shouldn't. I'm only speculating this. You know, I do not know the man, so all I can do is talk about what I've seen and form an opinion from the outside looking in. But
It could be like, like the Punisher, like, he's kind of a bad guy, but he takes care of business.
I mean,
But like
maybe,
people that
maybe.
get to know him like him, right? Like I
But they
feel
only
like,
like him because he's taking care of business.
well,
Because his personality actually clashes with everyone. They're like, dude, why you gotta be like this?
true.
Because they killed his entire family. I played. That's why that
We
did
don't
not
know
happen to
Fisher's
Fisher.
backstory?
I guess so. Yeah, maybe you know some you
It's a
know
lot of trauma.
yeah mafia or some
Okay,
drug
let's not start
dealers killed his
speculating here.
whole family.
Like,
Speculation is
got
going too far.
rumor city right now.
You could be like, did
Like,
you hear on
clip
our
that.
recap that Fisher's whole family was killed? He's like the Punisher.
Oh my god.
All
Stop.
right, moving on.
Not-
So, do we want to talk about the World Cup first? Because I mean, the World Cup had a lot of diversity this year, but unfortunately, it was like behind closed doors. You could watch the games, but you couldn't see the players.
It was really weird. No, but that was
Yeah,
just
it
that
was
wasn't the
definitely out of. Go ahead.
that wasn't the semifinals and the finals. It was the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I
on
was just
day
talking
one.
about the new blood that was there, like India, Saudi Arabia, all these
Which
new
we did
teams that
see
have
our
never
India
come.
friends a couple times.
Saudi
How'd it
Arabia.
go?
Yeah,
Oh,
Saudi
you're right.
Arabia.
Yeah,
How'd
we
it go?
met we met new Indian friends.
We did. You're
Yeah.
right. That was on the way to dinner.
Yep. We sent them to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. I never saw them again either to follow up to see if they actually ate there or liked it.
But are you asking if we want to talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, well, do you want to talk about anything besides USA versus South Korea? Because in my opinion, that was the finals, and that's all there is to it.
I mean,
I
we
think
can
it was worth
briefly go
mentioning
through
that
the
France beat
semifinals.
South Korea.
Yeah. The fact that South Korea lost twice in the quarterfinals
The group stages.
or the group stages, yeah, where they lost to US and they lost to France. Like South Korea, out of here.
Yeah,
But
Yeah,
South
but
Korea
they
struggling
still
this
went
year.
to the finals.
Yeah,
I
but
know
then
they still
for
went to the finals.
third, South Korea destroyed France 3-0. So, like
That's
it
true.
went back in fourth, whereas the USA still won 3-1.
I mean, South Korea wasn't gonna not medal.
Totally
Like,
roll
okay,
over.
boys. All right, boys, come on.
We're going to need at least
Gotta-
one. We need something to take home. Well, why
No,
don't
but I
you
think
just
Or
we
you're
go
not
over?
coming back.
Yeah, I think we could talk about the semifinals and the finals, right?
Yeah. Why don't you go over who the bracket and how it all played out?
Okay, so the first round of games, USA and China had buys, and then Korea destroyed Denmark 3-0. I was pretty sure they were sandbagging just to play Denmark, and then they were going to come and destroy USA. That was my theory, but we'll see. Then France beat Netherlands 3-1. And France looked really good, I will say. Like,
France is playing good. Soon I think is a good team leader.
oh yeah, they had soon. Well, I have a friend, Emmerich, who plays for France. You know Emmerich,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
right? Yeah. We saw him
Was he
again.
there?
No, he doesn't play for France. He covers France. But yes, he was
Ah.
there. Yes.
Nice.
And so he was all excited. So that was fun. Then we move on to the second round, and that is the Korea USA match, which was terrifying. But it ended 3-1 USA over Korea. And I'm not going to lie, I legit sat there and was like, damn it, they're going to bring it back. USA's going to choke again. We're not going to make it. But we did. The
Yeah,
USA
I
team
mean,
looked awesome.
the matches were super close, and
Yeah, they were not like cakewalks.
yeah,
Like
it
first day.
was
No, I can't imagine.
back and forth, and
Yeah, Korea's final boss right there.
yeah, USA worked for it. I was so proud of Arrow and the boys at Super.
And Raucous
Yeah,
from the Houston Outlaws.
yeah, Raucous played it was good across the board. Sinatra looked great. I walked by Super at one point, and I got to just say, "Super good, bro, super good." He was like, "Thanks, thanks." He was so excited, but because he played Orisa the whole time, and everybody just said he was just a Ryan one trick, and he played really really well. So that was very exciting. Why am I blanking on the other DPS on USA? I'm blanking. Anybody? Chat?
It
Can you help
was
me out here?
uh
I'm blanking so hard on it.
You guys, this is so bad.
wait, isn't this supposed to be your jobs?
No.
Not the World Cup. The World Cup's like tier 3,
You guys
arguably
were
tier
there.
4.
Well, apparently whoever it was. Just kidding.
No, they were good. That's why I'm trying to think of the name. Oh well.
Chess
Well,
doesn't know either, and nobody knows.
nobody knows. Yeah. Well, he played well. The
It wasn't Zachary, was it?
No,
100% no.
But after that, like USA just kind of phoned in the win in the grand finals against China. Like, I mean, it was kind of a wash. I don't know if like China was tired out or what, or the USA was so fired up after Corey. Thank you. How did I forget Corey?
Oh, I was gonna say Corey, but I was like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
Corey.
like it was kind of phoned in. I don't know. The World Cup didn't seem as epic to me this year because it was only the one day instead of the 2-day thing where you had a lot of time to go back and forth. Like we didn't catch every game. We of course caught USA versus Korea, but we didn't catch every game because we had a lot of other panels and interviews to go to. So I don't know.
I mean,
I kind of wish the World
guess-
Cup was done differently. That's all I got to say.
I don't know. I guess for me, my one question to you guys would be USA and South Korea had all Overwatch League players playing. And whether they're the best Overwatch League players from US and South Korea is debatable, right? But they both had all Overwatch League players playing. And do we think that that is what it should be? Or do we think that there should be a cap on how many Overwatch League players that you have?
Yeah, I've thought about
Right?
that. I just don't
Like,
know.
I wish there was like a cap of 3. Like, you can have 3 Overwatch League players, and then you have to find 3 other.
But how do you tell
But then
people that want to fight for their
Korea will
country?
be disqualified.
That's fine.
But I mean, how do you tell
But
pros
there's also
that
half
want
of
to
Korea
come?
that is still in contenders. Like, come on.
Like, can you imagine the actual World Cup for football/soccer would be okay if pro players weren't allowed to play? Like,
I think
that would be
there
a
is.
tragedy. No, there's not a cap at all. For sure not.
I want to say in like the
Same with the Olympics for basketball.
no, in the Olympics in basketball there is.
Really?
I am almost 100% positive.
That just seems crazy because the Olympics, their whole thing is the best athletes in the world. So if you're cutting pros out, well, you're not the best athletes in the world now, are you? You're the best athletes that aren't professional athletes in the world.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I
Maybe
don't. I
it's like
just.
you can't have so many from the same team or something.
I don't. I think you just need to have more allure to the World Cup. Although it is nice for them to get seen at BlizzCon, but I just don't know if the World Cup is really for BlizzCon. Like, there's too much to do at BlizzCon. I just don't know if it really fits there. Although it's definitely popular. Tons of people go and watch it, but they only go and watch certain games, you know?
Yeah, I guess for me, this is like where people get scouted. And to be fair, like the Overwatch League players, yeah, the ones that play, I think really do enjoy it, but they've got a long season ahead of them and they're going to be exhausted. And if they continue to do that and then the World Cup, like I feel like they're just going to destroy their bodies.
Yeah, it's a weird situation because you want at least some of them in there, right? Because
Right.
Overwatch League does have the best players in the world. So it's weird that if none of them were in Overwatch World Cup, right? Because at that point, is it like, are we really watching the best here? Or is it just
Right.
like,
We're watching contenders.
whoever wanted to
Yeah.
make it?
If we're gonna
Contenders World
watch,
Cup?
if we're gonna watch contenders, we might as well just bring like a contenders tournament to BlizzCon. You know?
I think what they need to do is find a way to make it even more prestigious to win the World Cup. Because right now, what you're saying, there's not as much of an incentive. And I think they run a lot into problems too from other countries getting the teams over here. Like before the World Cup, how many GoFundMe's weren't they going around? Like, please sponsor this team and help them come to the World Cup because they don't have enough funding to do so.
Well,
And
because
then a
this
lot
was
of the
the
teams that
first
did
year.
get funding couldn't make it because of the visas either. Some of the teams had to
Yeah.
drop out because there's like, hey, we can't get visas for this. So it's really hard for teams outside of the US to make it over here. So the incentive to come to the World Cup, I think, should be high.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we talk
I
about
agree.
you did mention the long season coming up. I've been thinking about this a lot recently, and I think this season is going to be a lot more exciting for players rather than the last two. I mean, the first season was super hype, right? But then like they're still all stuck in LA for the majority of the time, you know, with a pretty small auditorium that holds about 4 to 450 people. And like now every every weekend that they have games that they travel someplace, it's going to be hype and there's going to be all kinds of adrenaline flowing, and I think it's going to actually keep them more energized as opposed to burning them out more.
Yeah, I mean, I think for next year, I think we'll see some excitement, and I don't think we'll see as much burnout, but I do think the following year it'll start to kick in. But I also said that Shock would self-destruct
Yeah,
within the first
no,
few
and
weeks.
I honestly think that the homestands will keep is what's going to keep the players alive. What's going to kill them is the traveling and everything else that is not part of the homestand. Because yeah, when they go out there and the crowd is going crazy and the fans want to like meet them and you know they're like the center of attention. I think that's not as bad. That's what makes it worth it, right? Like they're there living their dream and being basically rock stars that travel the world with Overwatch. But you know what's gonna take a toll of them is all those air times at the airport and the flight delays and not being at your home, not having your own bed, your own stuff that you can count on. Um,
Who's
but
the
that being
first team
said,
to get a private jet?
yeah, right.
That's now.
But then they will also sometimes get to visit home, right? Because they're traveling, they'll be closer to their home cities a lot of the time than in Anaheim or Burbank, California. So I think it'll be pros and cons. I I do suspect that we will gonna see some dropouts. Some people are gonna not gonna want to live that lifestyle and are gonna
Get traded
stop
to
it.
Seoul.
Yeah, no, yeah, or just be like, hey, this is not my thing. Kind of like the first year, right? We had some people that realize, you know what? I don't want to be in the stage here. I don't want to play under contract. I want to do my own thing. We've seen in both times, right? Players that were so good, they made it to Overwatch League, but they realized that's not what they wanted and dropped out. And I think that next year is going to put that test even to a higher standard, right? Like, do
Yep.
you really want to be in the Overwatch League no matter what? And those are the players that are going to stay. And the players who can't handle the traveling are gonna be like, oh, all right, this is nice being here for a year. See you guys.
I think you're going to see team management and team ownership come into play huge here, right? Because traveling the world can be fun. It can also suck, right? Like if
Yes.
you travel at odd times, if you travel in bad conditions, if where you're staying isn't great, if you don't have things, you know,
I'll be interested to see what
together.
what the team's rooms look like in Paris and in London. Because if they're like ours, they'll be in the toilet, the sink, or in the actual shower. Like, not kidding. Like, you shut the shower door and you're still with the toilet and the sink. It's going
I
to be
still feel like
interesting for
that's pretty
players.
efficient, though.
It definitely was. But
That's one thing.
closing out the talk about the World Cup, because we are getting close to time. Big shout out to Lemon Kiwi, friend of the show, and Jake, one of our favorite players. Like, I'm pretty sure everybody on the show enjoys him and enjoys hearing him talk about the game. They casted and it was awesome. They did a great job. Shout out to Lemon Kiwi.
And can I quick plug the fact that I got Ednar to get a picture with Jake?
He also had a sign that said how much he loved Jake in the
Yeah, I know,
auditorium.
but Ramses made that for him, so that didn't count.
Well, whoever made it, he still used it, so it's okay.
Mhm.
All right,
You want me
so
to go through the
yes.
team stuff real fast?
Real quick, let's just run through all the changes in the league since we last talked to you last Monday. So there's been a
As
few
far as I could
changes. Yeah,
see.
go for it. Gauntlet.
Okay.
Run it.
All right. So in Atlanta, they added Hawk from the Atlanta Academy team. He is an off tank. They also traded Funny Astro to Fusion.
Oh, I'm sad. Funny Astro. I'm not gonna like delay the conversation, but he felt so at home when he was in the Atlanta team, and all the guys in the Atlanta team kind of like brought him in like a little brother. So I'm kind of sad that they traded him because I'm sure it wasn't like his first choice, but Fusion does need a Lucio really badly. So
So then we have Della's Fuel, who made some big changes and got Gamzu
At Gamsu,
from
what happened? It was a good
the
guess for me
Dragons.
last week, right?
And then they got Decay. Wait, yes,
Woo-hoo-hoo. That was a big one.
from the Gladiators, right?
Yes. They got
Okay.
Decay from the Gladiators, and OGE went over to the Gladiators.
interesting. OG getting released, huh? And
Mhm.
Yeah.
Gamsu finally a good home. I think that man, Gamsu is a versatile tank, and they got a good one.
I don't know if it's a good home, but it's a home.
I
Kamsu.
think that the organization is great. I mean, regardless of the
Definitely.
results that
Mm,
we've seen from them, I think that the organization and how they treat the players and the management is really good. I mean, one of the better ones in my
It's
opinion.
tip top from the top down. Just because the results were bad does not mean they're bad to their players, and you gotta give them that. They are good to their players.
okay. All right. Then we have the London Spitfire, who signed Fuse and Bernard. Fuse is a main support from Fusion University, and Bernard is an off tank from Fusion University. It's like a trend here, guys, by the way. There's a lot of Fusion University players being signed, so I think that's cool. The Gladiators signed OG in the trade, so they now have a new main tank. The Valiant finally added some people. And they got Dreamer from Sydney Drop Bears. He is a main sport. They got Apply, who was the DPS for Mayhem that I think played once before they switched their roster prior to the roster that they switched again. Then they got Slur from Samsung Morning Stars. He's an off support. And then they got Lastro from Skyfoxes, who I think plays mainly Zen. Then the Philadelphia Fusion made quite the changes. They got Ivy from Defiant, Fury from the Spitfire, Alarm from Fusion University,
Which is a
and Funny
huge grab.
Astro. Yeah, and then Funny Astro from the Rain. They also re-signed Carpe and EQO, and they
To the
re-signed
best
Snillo,
DPS.
who is a two-way contract.
Snillo Pillow.
And then we have Soul Dynasty, who signed to support creative from Genji Esports, which I hope that doesn't mean they're getting rid of Ryu Jae-hong, but we'll see. Gamsu obviously left the Shanghai Dragons, and then Toronto Defiant added Agilities because they already had Kariv. So they had to sign Agilities. I did ask Agilities at BlizzCon if this was a package deal, and he said absolutely.
I told him, I was like,
Just so you
dude,
know.
I just happened to just kind of be funny and say it on our last show that I hope you guys find yourself in the same spot. And then it happened the next day. It's hilarious.
They also got Surefour from the Gladiators. So really kicking it up here in their signings. I think Toronto's looking a little better. And then they got Beast from Fusion University. He is a maintain.
And then someone in chat said that young Jin retired and went back to Korea to start fulfilling his military obligation.
Oh, I think I did
Oh.
see that actually.
That makes sense because it's obligatory over there. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
somehow you might get out of it
Well-
somehow. Some people might do, but some other people, like, if you don't, it's like
You
a
don't.
criminal thing.
You
Well-
can't get out of it for esports right now.
But you
You
can
can't
get out of it for
esports.
sports.
No,
you
yeah,
can't
that's
get
what
out
I'm
of it for
saying.
sports,
That's
but
what
you
I'm saying.
can't
Like,
get
there's
out of
probably
it
some
for
way to get out
esports.
of it, but not if you're doing what they're doing. Yeah.
But
Because
they
most of the
do
military
have
service in those countries
until-
have that conditions and stuff.
I think they have until like 35 or some sort of age where you have to start it before then. So it's not like they have to do it right now. They could, outlive their esports career, which is probably, closer to that age, and then go do it. But yeah, everybody we've asked about it has declined to answer, so
Yeah, they really
we'll leave that one alone.
don't know why, but any interview we tried to ask a Korean
No.
player about it, we got shut down. So I don't know why. Maybe they're not supposed to talk about it, like you don't talk about Fight Club, you don't talk about, mandatory military service.
Yeah, they're a much more private culture. They don't like talking about their business very much. I've noticed.
Yeah. Misfit in the chat did say that Gamsu and Note have synergy already, which helps a lot. And I will point out that Gamsu and Note posted the cutest bromance picture on Twitter today that I saw. It was super cute. They're like hugging and all sorts of funness. That's all.
That's some interesting changes. I think that a lot of teams did do what we were thinking about last week, where they waited to see what was announced and all that stuff, and then they attacked. They were like, nothing is being released anytime soon, guys. Coast is clear. Do the deals.
Right. I will also say too, like NYXL is really keeping things close to themselves, not letting us have any juice.
It
No
will
juice,
come.
huh?
It will come. Okay, well, guys, we are still super tired from BlizzCon. BlizzCon went so fast this year. This is the first year we had legit media, and man, time just evaporates. Like you go to those different press conferences, you do coverage, and then you go and you're trying to download it, and then you finally get out. Like the first day, we got there at 8:30. And then we sat there for 2.5 hours waiting for the, actual opening ceremony. And then, man, like we were up in media doing press conferences and we finally get out and it's like 4:30 or 5. And we're just like, where did the time go?
Yeah, trust me. I
Oh,
know.
And
I
just
was
like,
there last year.
yeah, it's just like crazy. So
Did BlizzCon just go by really fast? I mean, I wasn't there, but it's from my perspective, it was like the weekend just flew, and I was like, oh, those were the news. Bob and Mel are back. Okay.
it does, man.
The
I'm
last-
still
the
hoping for a
last
third
night-
day.
The last night there was so many people like just up. It's like 4:30 and we're like, all right, we gotta go.
AM.
Yeah. And there's so many people that just like don't want to go to bed.
Yeah, they
'cause
won't give
don't
up.
want it to end.
Oh, I bet.
Oh man,
like,
so
this
many
is the end.
people. Yeah, and we're just like, we're there at the Overwatch League party, and it's like now it's down to like 30 people, and everybody's like barely hanging on, and we're like, "Yep, guys." Like we even went to IHOP and then came back, and they were still there. We're like, "We gotta go, we gotta go," but it sucks because you just don't want it to end, and I just really wish that there was a Sunday that was like catch up time. Like I don't know. I don't know.
Half
Yeah.
day on Sunday.
Yeah, half day. Like lots of cons do like a half day on Sunday, like maybe something like
Like
that.
wind down day,
Yeah.
Mimosa afternoon with Blizzard.
Yeah. Right?
have your mimosa with
Not
Jeff.
mimosa morning. Not mimosa morning. No.
No, not morning. No, nobody's alive that morning. People are still going to bed that
Talking
morning.
like 1 to 4. Okay, that'd be a great time.
Oh man, but yeah, just shout out to everybody. I tried to do shout outs on Twitter, but I did a horrible job of getting photos this year. So everybody, I just wish I
blame
could spend
Bob.
more time with you. Yeah, it's always my fault. All right, well, we are going to close out the show, guys. We encourage you to follow us on Twitter. That's @AlRecap. If you want to send us something a little longer, send your emails to contact@alrecap.com. We try to stream live every Monday night. It's going to be pretty soon going to bi-weekly unless we have, if there's an episode to be made, we will go ahead and do extras. But the format's going to go to bi-weekly. Follow us on Twitter to find out more on when we're going to go live. But it will be Mondays at 8 o'clock Mountain Time, 10 o'clock Eastern. We are on YouTube, and we've been close to 1,000 subs for what feels like a millennium now. So if you want to help us out, even if you don't use YouTube, just go there and give us a sub. If we could hit that 1,000 mark, it would be beautiful. But of course, you could always find us on whatever podcatcher you like. We're almost everywhere: iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher. We encourage you leaving iTunes reviews. If you can't help out the show financially, this is the best way to help us out without hurting your pocketbook. So leave us reviews. It helps us get seen in the algorithm and helps us grow even, to even more heights. So if you want to help us out even further, you can go to patreon.com/AlRecap and join people like Shazir. If you want to talk to us and be part of our community, we share one with the Omnic Lab podcast. That's discord.me/OmnicLab. Did I forget anything, guys?
Then you got everything.
Oh, game night. Game night this month is going to be the 29th. So make sure you show up to that. You need to be part of the Discord to participate. Hope to see you there. Where can we find you, iPlay?
You can always find me on Twitter at iplaigames. You spell that IPLAI games.
And Mel, where can we find your beautiful face and memes and gifs?
Only the gifs on Twitter at MelOverwatch. That's how I talk, in gifs consistently. And if you want to hear about all the other cool stuff that happened in Overwatch, I'll be talking with Gabe on the Cavalry this week.
Awesome. Yeah, the Cavalry has been on a little hiatus, so definitely check in with them to get the skinny on what's going on about Overwatch. And as for me, you can find me on Twitter at Blazzin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. Another BlizzCon year in the books, and we are out for now. We'll see you next week.